Hungry, I know. I was fending off everybody from the buffet. I was like, just give it just a couple more minutes. We're going to make some eggplant meatballs for anybody that, is there anybody in the house who's actually vegan? No, great, okay. Just because there's still a little meat residue in the pan, and I am going to cook the eggplant meatballs in there because we don't really have a choice. But the ones in the buffet are completely vegan because they were cooked in regular oil. Okay, so if you're concerned about that, they're good to go. Okay, so preparing your eggplant. So this is what we do. We just cut it in half.
How's that knife working?
It's great. Dan brought me knives. Listen, anybody who was here for the last episode and watched us struggle through cutting will understand why Dan thinks this is so funny. My knives were not sharp. Okay, so you cut it in half, you lay it upright, and it's got that beautiful pulpy thing about it, and you add some oil. And then salt.
And what kind of oil do you use?
Avocado. I use a combination of avocado, safflower, and refined coconut oil. And the reason I use it is, number one, it has a very high nutritional content. The omega-3s in it are really good. Number two, it is processed organically, and it does not use chemicals when they do it, and it has a high smoke point. It's also a neutral oil. It adds fat to your food without adding any particular flavor to it. Dan likes to use olive oil, which I love. I use olive oil as a finishing oil because I really do want to taste the olive in the olive oil. And when you cook olive oil, it has a tendency to get a little bitter. So I use it as a finish oil, salad dressings and things like that. And Dan was cooking at a very low smoke point, so he didn't have that issue. But if your pan starts to smoke when you're cooking with olive oil, that means you're burning the oil.
Right. So and it changes the flavor profile.
It totally changes the flavor profile. So we're going to do the thing we do all the time, which is salt, pepper, garlic, onion, and then Italian herbs. Not dill weed for this. Garlic. Dan, you want to grab the salt back there? I keep putting it back, and we keep using it. Did you find it? Behind me? Yeah. Like on the table? There you go. We're going to do... I definitely like to cook with salt. I don't know if any of you have ever watched Chuck Hughes, who's a cook on the, I think he's on the Food Channel, not the Food Network, but Cooking TV. That's what he's on. And they asked him what spices he would like to use. If he could pick 3 spices, what spices would he use? And he said salt, salt, and salt. And I that resonated deeply with me.
Salt, pepper, and garlic.
Yeah, salt, pepper, and garlic. That's the same for me. Or I could probably get away with like a little bit of like onion. So this will go face down. So you take your eggplant once it's seasoned, you put it face down in the pan. What is that going to do? That's going to caramelize this part of the eggplant and make it like nice and brown and charry. And it's also going to help steam up into the skin of the eggplant. And so we put it at 400 degrees for 20 minutes.
Oh, so you bake it. Bake it to soften it?
Yep, you'll see.
Okay.
And then...
So you're not going to fry that in the pan?
Nope, because of the magic of television. Ta-da!
Oh, how do you like that?
It's already ready to go.
Wow.
So my test for this, if you're not sure, if you want to look at it at 20 minutes at 400 degrees and you're like, oh, is it done? Is it not done? Push on it. If it's squishy, it's done. If it's bouncing back and it's still holding its form, it's not quite done. It's done.
Done.
So we're going to take the inside of the eggplant, and it looks like this when it comes out. This is cooled as well.
Oh,
I know I just tricked you because it came out of the oven, my fancy magic oven. That's not hot. And so you're going to scrape out the insides.
Love that.
So you get like a pulpy eggplant pulp going on.
Right?
I know.
Look at the char on that.
And there's great char, and it really makes a difference if you let it char like that because that's caramelizing. And caramelizing is developing the sugar in the the Maillard reaction. It's developing the sugar in the fruit and the vegetables.
Beautiful.
And it really makes a big difference in the flavor. So then we're going to take this guy, and we're going to now these are also, and don't be afraid, these are vegan, these are paleo, these are keto, and these are Whole30 friendly. There's no gluten in these. There's nothing, there's very clean, it has a bunch of very clean ingredients in it. So we're going to use, yes.
Is there a certain shape of eggplant that's better for this as opposed to?
Well, the bigger and bolder, the more pulp you get. So like the Sicilian eggplants are round like this, so you don't get as much. You have to use a lot of them because you're only getting that. I mean, that was a whole eggplant, and that eggplant, you saw the size of it when I cut it. Yeah. That was the size of that other one as well. Okay. And the other ones, their Japanese eggplants are really long and skinny. Again, you're not going to get as much pulp in them. So I would use, it's an American hybrid version actually, that are the ones you see technically in the grocery stores that are kind of long and thick. Okay. I used 8 eggplant to get 30 meatballs. So it's a lot. It's
Okay.
You know, it's kind of a special. But I mean, they're cheap and easy, especially in the summertime if you grow them.
So you have 2 eggplants there. How many meatballs?
There's just one.
That was, oh, there's one.
There's
cut
one,
in half.
yeah. There's just one in here.
So you get about maybe 6, 8 meatballs?
Yeah, maybe. Well, you'll see as we make this. So
Okay.
then the next thing we're going to do, and this is a swap out. Instead of using breadcrumbs, I use almond flour. So, and I don't put an egg in this. Some people, if you're not vegan and you don't care, you certainly could put an egg in this, but half a cup. Now, I play with this because if it's too, so the nut flours, the alternative flours like coconut and almond, they absorb liquid. Very different than bread flour. So they have a tendency to like just get very, you have to let it sit because if you let it sit, it almost rises like bread dough. It'll soak up more than you think. So, and then you just take a look at it. So I kind of add the almond flour first just so people can see. And then in a little bit, we may add more because, all right, so we have black pepper. So the same things that I added on the eggplant before it went in, I add at the end. And I also add minced onion. Yes, of course. You certainly could. I would say if you were going to go on the gluten end, I would just use regular breadcrumbs. They have a little bit more. They have a little bit more robustness to them. They have a little bit more mealiness to them.
I have a question.
Yes.
How's an Italian girl do this? I'm like, I don't know how to do this. You know, I make the meatballs like I make the meatballs, right? Or make Swedish meatballs, but this is like really cool. Like.
So the thing that I really love about food is the challenge of it,
Yeah.
right? And as health things come out and as you're trying to do different things, who's vegan, who's not vegan, who doesn't want to eat meat, who wants to eat less meat, who's trying to do Whole30 paleo. I love that stuff because I really want everybody to feel like, because the first thing people say to you is, oh, you're keto, oh, you can't eat any bread. Well, you know, you find other things to eat. And I really took that on as a challenge, especially during COVID. And that was my thing. I just decided I was going to use the knowledge that I had and really play in the kitchen. And it just gave me a lot of solace. And, you know, everybody in my house cooks. My father cooks, my mother cooks. My father's Irish, my mother's Italian. But I like to say my dad's like Italian adjacent because
Italian adjacent.
I need the salt again, Dan.
Salt.
Yeah, we're gonna add. So this was still a little soft, and I'm gonna show you what this looks like.
So see what she's doing? Like she's doing it by feel.
I am.
Same thing with
and
the meatballs, right?
One day I'll write down recipes for everybody.
Yeah.
But if you're truly interested in a recipe that you saw here, so just email me on Facebook, and I'll send you a recipe.
It's all by feel, right?
I have to look at it. So what
Right.
I'm looking at is like how soft it is.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if you don't want to deal with this, you can stick it in the fridge and it'll harden up a little bit on you. And it gives that almond flour time to develop. So this is what we are going to do. We're just going to, and sometimes you can throw and you can get crazy. You can grate zucchini into this to give it more body. You can.
Look at that. Look how firm that is.
You could, yes. I would say if you grate the zucchini, definitely drain it. Otherwise, you'll have to add a lot of almond flour. And, you know, and since we ran the gamut of, and listen, the Italians make eggplant meatballs. Don't let them fool you. They like it. They like eggplant melanzana any way you can get it.
Well, like I like fried eggplant.
Yeah, they like fried
But
eggplant.
I never made like fried eggplant meatballs. Like so, I'm like, you're really opening my mind tonight, like
I'm sure
like
everybody
to me,
makes
like I said, there was only two kinds of meatballs. First, there used to be one kind, the Italian meatballs. Then I went to IKEA one day years ago, and it's like I love Swedish meatballs.
Dan traveled to IKEA.
And now tonight, like, my
They're the
mind
best,
is
right?
open. This is really awesome.
Listen, there's so much you can do with food, and the thing that my message is always, it's easy. It can be easy, and they have to cook for a little bit. They'll get
Yeah.
mushy on you.
I don't want them. They look a little brown on the bottom.
All right, do your thing. You might need this one. You might have to scoop it.
Let me cook a little bit.
Where's the fork? Yeah, these are a little. Now I typically do these in the air fryer actually because you don't have to mess with them. They come out of the air fryer already cooked and formed. So that
it cooks on the top.
yeah,
and-
these are a little challenging. They're like a crab cake. I don't know if any of you have ever made fresh crab cakes. And just for vegan purposes, you can make vegan crab cakes this way. Add a little seaweed to these, and it's a crab cake. Add Old Bay and seaweed to this actual mixture, and it is a crab cake. It's
That's
a vegan
cool.
crab cake. Tastes just like it.
It's really cool.
So if you're looking for alternatives, but our whole Gourmet Mama thing is that we're bringing you back to the table. We want dinner to be easy. We want you to get back in the kitchen, get comfortable, and enjoy your food. And Benny, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say it's funny because I never heard the term eggplant until I came to America.
What do you guys call it?
Aubergines.
Aubergines.
Oh,
yeah. Of course.
That's French.
Aubergines. So
Yeah,
when I came in,
aubergine.
what's an eggplant?
Yeah, why would you
Right.
call it that, right? Because it looks like, well, there's a white variety of eggplant that actually looks like an egg when it's hanging on the plant. So that's probably where it came from, but I'd have to trace it back, Ben, and I'll get back to you. I'll find out the origin of eggplant. And we also have Brandon Tomasello here tonight on Sinatra spaghetti and meatballs. He was actually the inspiration for the content today. When Dan said meatballs, and I knew Brandon had created this amazing production. And welcome, Brandon.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, Brandon.
Thank you.
And welcome to the kitchen.
It's great to be here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have Sinatra's meatball recipe.
You do?
You do.
I
What is
do.
it?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I got
It's
it's over
not-
here.
That's an Italian meatball
Oh, that's
recipe,
amazing.
right?
So,
It is.
All right.
along those lines, I would love, Brandon, for you to tell our audience and our viewers at home
Yes.
a little bit about what you're doing.
So we found these arrangements at the Library of Congress. They're actually the original scores. And I got in touch with them, and they had me get in touch with it's the Billy Byers collection at the Library of Congress. Billy was an arranger for Sinatra and the Basie Band back in the 60s. And when Frank did you ever listen to Live at the Sands, Sinatra at the Sands?
I've heard it.
Well, Billy wrote all of those arrangements. And when I had found that they were all at the Library of Congress, I figured I need these. But I had no way of getting to it. And a friend of mine is a politician, and I called him, and he actually ended up being on the board of the Library of Congress.
Wow.
He hooked me up. They told me to contact Billy's estate. I got in touch with his son. He gave me permission to get them. And we had them, we had the parts written out, and we did nothing with them for years. And then one day I was here, and George said, when are you going to do an album? Or do another album? And I jokingly said, when someone else pays for it.
That's the right answer, Brandon.
It's expensive.
No, that's the right answer.
Just ask George how expensive it is.
Yeah.
And counting.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean,
So-
you need the money to
So,
make
so
the
these songs were they recorded or they were unrecorded?
The songs everybody knows, in the wee small hours of the morning, but the arrangements were specifically written for
Sinatra.
that tour he was doing in the 60s with the Basie Band.
Okay.
So, like in the wee small hours, the famous recording of that from the album Wee Small Hours, it's with the strings and it's real luscious and pretty. The version we did on the album was written in that Basie style. Basie didn't have strings, and it's just this driving force of an arrangement. Even everything is that driving Basie sound. So the songs are known, but these particular arrangements he never recorded any of them in any way.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you, I've never actually had anyone sing in the kitchen, but I would love.
I don't
love
think
to.
I've ever sung in a
Have
kitchen.
you ever sung in a kitchen, Brandon? This will be
No.
your day.
I whistle in the kitchen.
You sing in the
I
shower?
don't even sing in the shower.
You don't sing in the shower?
No.
I thought it would be a great way to wrap up our episode. Would be
Sing in
Sure.
our
to
kitchen.
hear your amazing
Sure.
vocals.
Yeah.
And this would be the second time any of this arrangement has been heard publicly in
Well, there you go.
59 years.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
How about that?
That's awesome.
Like
That
the
is
spoon sheet.
really awesome. It's really awesome.
Brandon.
Your sweet expression, the smile you gave me, the way you looked when we met. It's easy to remember, but so hard to forget. I hear you whisper, I'll always love you. I know it's over, and yet it's easy to remember, but so hard to forget. So I must dream to have your hands caress me, fingers press me tight. I'd rather dream than have that lonely feeling stealing through the night. Each little moment is clear before me, and though it brings me regret, it's easy to remember, but so hard to forget. Are they still cooking?
Oh yeah,
It's because it's cast iron, right?
it's still going. So great.
So I must dream to have your hands caress me, those fingers press me tight. I'd rather dream than have that lonely feeling stealing through the night. Each little moment is clear before me, and though it brings me regret, it's so easy to remember and so hard to forget.